All right, remember the acronym All Students Take Calculus? That helps us remember which trig functions are positive in which quadrants. So the A stands for all, meaning that all three trig functions are positive in the first quadrant. So sine of theta is greater than 0, it's positive. Cosine of theta is greater than 0. Tangent of theta is greater than 0. So that means all of those reciprocal functions are also positive. So cosecant of theta is greater than 0. Secant of theta is greater than 0, and cotangent of theta is greater than 0. All right, in the second quadrant, S is in the second quadrant. That means that only sine is positive in the second quadrant. So sine is positive, it's greater than 0, but cosine and tangent are less than 0, which means that cosecant, the reciprocal of sine, is positive, but secant and cotangent are negative. Sorry. In the third quadrant, we have a T, meaning that only tangent is positive. So sine is negative and cosine is negative, meaning that cosecant and secant are negative. Tangent is the only one that's positive, so tangent is positive and so is cotangent. And then in the fourth quadrant, only cosecant is positive. So only cosine, oh my gosh, only cosine is positive. So that means that sine and tangent are negative. Sine and tangent are both negative. Cosine is positive. So that would make cosecant negative, cotangent negative, and secant would be positive. So we can use that to help us figure out this next example. So in which quadrant is cosecant of theta greater than 0 and tangent of theta greater than 0? So if cosecant is greater than 0, that means which quadrant is sine greater than 0? Well, sine is greater than 0 in the first and the second. Tangent is greater than 0 in the first and the third. So the quadrant that they have in common is the first quadrant. Quadrant 1 is where both of those are positive. Try this next one on your own, meaning you're going to pause your video, write this down on your piece of paper. Which quadrant is secant of theta greater than 0 and cotangent of theta less than 0? So pause your video, try this one on your own. Alright, secant of theta meaning cosine. Cosine is positive in the first and the fourth. And whereas cotangent negative, cotangent is negative in the second and the fourth. So the one that they have in common is the fourth quadrant. So quadrant 4 is your answer. All right, next one. What if I gave you a specific value for a trig function? So cosine of theta is 3/5, and cosecant of theta is less than 0. So since I told you cosine of theta is 3/5, that means that cosine is positive. So which quadrants is cosine positive in? The first and the fourth. Whereas cosecant negative, meaning where is sine negative? Sine is negative in the third and the fourth. So which quadrant do they have in common? The fourth quadrant. So that means I'm going to draw a right triangle in my fourth quadrant. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent side is 3, the hypotenuse is 5. You can either do Pythag or just recognize that this is a Pythagorean triple, making this side 4. But because it's below the x-axis, it's -4. So I could ask you, now what is tangent of theta? Well, tangent is opposite over adjacent. Opposite would be -4 and adjacent would be 3. So you just use these two pieces of information, this piece of information right here, and then this piece of information over here to help you figure out what is tangent of theta of this triangle. Go ahead. Well, I keep writing an example. Try this next one on your own. Cosecant of theta is 2 over 1. Secant of theta is negative. Find cotangent of theta. Pause your video, try this one on your own. Alright, so cosecant of theta equals 2 means where's cosecant positive? Meaning where is sine positive? Sine is positive in the first and the second. Secant is less than 0, meaning where is cosine less than 0? Cosine is negative in the second and the third. So which quadrant do they have in common? The second quadrant. I'm going to draw my triangle in the second quadrant. Cosecant is the inverse of sine, meaning that this is hypotenuse over opposite. So opposite is 1, hypotenuse is 2. So this is one of my special right triangles. This is going to be root 3. But it's not positive root 3, it's negative root 3 because it's to the left of the y-axis. And we want to find cotangent of theta. Cotangent of theta is adjacent over opposite. Adjacent to theta is negative root 3. Opposite is 1. So your final answer is negative root 3.